Beretta's new thing seems to be taking some of their old legacy guns and modernizing them. And when they do that, they add an X to the name. They did it with the 92X, most recently the 30X, and now we have the 80X. The 80 series, or the Cheetah, were first released in 1976 as compact blowback operated handguns. They have all the telltale signs of a Beretta: the exposed barrel and open slide, the double action, single action, and the all metal construction. Now in 2023, Beretta revived the 80 series with the 80X, and it's steadily found its place in the concealed carry world. Now the 380 world has kind of been going back to its roots. The cartridge was initially designed for the Colt Pocket Hammerless, which was a compact 380. Pockets in the name, but it's kind of relative to pocket size. Now the Pocket Hammerless would not be considered a pocket gun these days. Guns like the Cheetah, as well as the Ruger Security 380, and the Walther PD 380 and similar size 380 guns have made a comeback as low recoil concealed carry weapons. Most of these guns are associated with beginners and casual gun owners who can't handle larger weapons. The 80X seems aimed at the more discerning concealed carriers. It's optics ready, it's got 13 round double stacked magazines, a double single action, and a all metal frame. Oh, plus we get a rail for any kind of light and laser one may want. Gun does cling to the blowback design, and blowback guns tend to have spicy recoil, but we'll talk a little bit more on that later. The 80X Cheetah series uses a optics plate system, kind of like the Glocks, or kind of like a lot of guns these days, and there's a few different plates available. When Beretta shipped me the gun, I asked for the Shield RMSC plate, and I equipped the very budget-friendly Swamp Fox Sentinel 2. Now there are two downsides when you equip your 80X with optics. First, to install the optics plate, we have to remove the rear sight, which I'm not a big fan of. Second, the optics is very high compared to other pistols. That's just due to Beretta's slide design, and the height takes a little getting used to in shooting. Ergonomically, I've always loved the 80 series guns. Size-wise, they've always been just right to fill my hand. The 80 series, or the 80X in general, has actually excellent ergonomics. It comes with an ambidextrous safety that doubles as a decocker. It's easy to use and very tactile. The magazine release can be reversed for lefties. The large and in-charge slide lock is stuck on the left side for right-handed shooters, but it's got a large shelf and is easily accessible. The slide is fairly light and easy to manipulate, especially with the hammer cocked to the rear. It takes a little poundage out of the pull. There is limited room to grab the slide, but a tough enough optic easily becomes a charging handle. I mentioned the gun comes with 13 round magazines, 2 of them to be specific, and it does work with the same Metgar mags that work in the Gerson MC14 series. Overall, the gun has all the modern boxes checked, minus the use of a direct blowback system. Blowback guns have a unlocked breech, and the only thing that keeps the slide locked long enough for the bullet to leave the barrel is the right combination of slide weight and recoil spring. Beretta found a way to make it work without the need for an excessively heavy recoil spring or some kind of giant slide like a high point. Now, 380 ACP doesn't generate much force in the first place, but that doesn't mean 380 ACP can't be rough in the recoil department. If you've ever shot a Walther PPK in 380, you know what I mean. However, Beretta's ergonomics and thick grip tends to help dissipate recoil. Initially, I expected a lot more, and I expected, just a little bit of hand-slapping pain, but to my surprise, the gun comes off very soft shooting. With that said, a short recoil system would lower the recoil a bit more, but overall, even with a blowback system, it's not going to beat you up. I mean, I would even describe it as pleasant. Controlling the gun was easy, and I scored a number of 2.5 second bill drills. That's not bad for me, and it's above average. With most small guns, I'm usually around 3 seconds, or 2.75 if I'm getting lucky. So 2.5 seconds isn't bad. 2.5 seconds wasn't my best time, but that was the average. Now, according to my shot timer, my draw to first shot took 1.17 seconds, and that's not a problem with the gun, that's just a skill issue. So if we factor out the draw, that gives me 6 rounds placed in an A zone in 1.33 seconds. It's fairly quick. Now, I'm able to do that because there just isn't much upward muzzle rise. A fixed barrel devoid of a tilting action, and the little 380 kind of helps with that. It's very flat shooting, and the recoil is really just kind of being thrown into your hand instead of upward. The recoil you receive isn't painful, but that's just where it is. It's in your hand. Now, the flat shooting nature also makes it really easy to track the red dot as you shoot. If you're looking for fast and accurate follow-up shots, the Beretta 80X delivers. Now, the red dot started to look just like a blur when I began shooting, and that's kind of what I'm going for. I don't want it to look like a solid dot, because that means I'm shooting too slow. Shooting multiple targets quickly, including moving targets, wasn't difficult. I know my moving target setup's a little ghetto, but it is a lot of fun. I could disperse lots of lead onto lots of targets very quickly and easily. I think I had less than 4 seconds to put 5 rounds on 5 targets, so not too bad. Accuracy is pretty good. It's not a competition pistol by any means. At 15 yards, which is the range I zeroed the gun with the optic, I was able to punch very tight groups and made it very easy to zero. Now out to 25 yards, I could go 10 for 10 against a 10-inch steel gong, so it's not too bad. I didn't expect a whole lot at 50 yards. At 50 yards, I put my dot on an IPSC-sized steel target and landed 4 out of 10 shots. You know, it's 50 yards, kind of optimistic for a gun like the 80X. In terms of reliability, I had no problems. I went through 550 rounds of 380 brass case, 95 grain full metal jacket rounds. Just a mix of Fiat and Remington, mostly Remington. This was done in about 3 days, so it's a fairly, at least decently tight shooting schedule. Reliability problem I had was when the optics plate came a bit loose. I didn't thread lock this down because this gun is a loaner from Beretta, and I didn't think they'd appreciated it. So what I did was I just kind of tightened it back up and applied a bit more torque, and it remained problem-free for the rest of my shooting. I often expect slide bite or hammer bite with smaller guns. It's just the nature of having big fat hands and shooting small guns. But that wasn't the case with the 80X. It performed admirably, and I genuinely enjoy shooting it. It's a very cool gun. It's very fun to shoot, and as a DASA enjoyer, I'm a big fan of it. Speaking of, Beretta went all out with this trigger. It's absolutely fantastic. The double action's smooth and long, but still light and consistent. The single action's kind of hovering around 1911 style. Not quite 1911, but pretty close. Which is, to me, the pinnacle of a single action trigger in a stock handgun. A lot of people expect a modern 380 concealed carry pistol to be pocket-sized, and that's not the 80X. Now, as mentioned, there's kind of this revival of compact size to subcompact size 380s, and that's where the 80X falls. You know, it's larger than most single stack 9mm, and it's heavier than most single stack 9mm. It and the other compact 380s are kind of their own genre these days. Now, the size makes it kind of easy to carry with just a little extra effort compared to a pocket pistol, but where they really come to perform is when it's time to press triggers. The light recoil makes it controllable and well suited for smaller shooters that might not have the hand strength for weapons before recoil. Smaller 380s, like a pocket 380, tends to be pretty rough, and so do a lot of small 9mm for some people. Guns like the Glock 19 are easy to shoot, but they're often too large for these people to handle easily and even harder to conceal than the 80X. So where the 80X fits is that it's like this Goldilocks zone of size and controllability. If this was like an RPG, someone would just slide the size and control sliders to the max and call it a day. Now, as mentioned, there are several in this genre, from Walther, Smith & Wesson, Ruger, and even SIG. So what makes the Beretta stand out? Well, to me, it's going to be the fact that it's kind of the fanciest and most modern variant of these guns. It's an Italian sports car in a field of Honda Civics. Sure, Civics are great cars, they're reliable, they're affordable, but the 80X adds some higher-end features that we don't expect from this genre of firearm. Now, surprisingly, the price isn't that bad. These seem to retail for under $600, which is admittedly more expensive than those Rugers and Walthers I mentioned. But you're getting a much, it's tough to say better gun. But, I mean, that's what it is. It's a great gun. It's fantastic. It's full of features that someone like me enjoys. You know, it's for a discerning concealed carrier who doesn't want a ton of recoil. There's not a lot of guns in that field, and I think the 80X kind of stands out as the only one. While those Rugers and those Walthers are great, they're not nearly as fancy or as nice as the 80X. So with that said, I think the Italians got it right, and we'll spare their pasta and spaghetti jokes this time. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below. And hey, I'll see you next time.